Good morning everyone, today's going to be a walkthrough video of Dark Falz Dalion Rank 2. But before we jump into all of that, if you're new to the channel, I upload NGS content daily, so if you do play this game, I would really appreciate a subscribe, as it really helps out the channel. Anyway, without further ado, let's begin the video. So the very first thing I want to talk about is where do you actually find Dark Falz Dalion Rank 2, and it's actually right here at Planet Crusher Blitz, all the way in Kavaris. You're going to click on it and Rank 2. Now keep in mind that you kind of need a party for this. I don't think it's soloable yet. Maybe someone's done it solo. If someone has, let me know in the comment section below. But we did this with 4 players and we cleared with like 30 seconds or 20 seconds left on the clock, so it is pretty tight. Now of course it was my first clear, so a lot of the stuff that you're about to see and the things that I do is from my very first clear. So I'm going to be explaining in the walkthrough things that I shouldn't have done and things that I should have done instead in order to be a little bit more efficient. Now speaking about efficiency, it is incredibly beneficial to make sure that you do have a ranger in your party, and after you have a ranger in your party, you want to make sure that your other 3 party members all have the ranger subclass. Now the reason why you want to have a ranger subclass as long as you have a ranger in your party is because of this buff right here, Blight Round Self Benefit. What this actually does is it increases damage to other parts when you hit an enemy part with a Blight round. This effect applies only to your own attacks. So the way that this works, the way that you get this 15% damage increase is simply because you have a ranger in your party, they're going to Blight Round anything. And the moment they Blight Round anything, everyone else who has the ranger subclass as well as 3 points in Blight Round Self Benefit automatically gains a 15% damage increase to anything that they hit. So this is why this is so important, because especially if you are slightly under-geared, or maybe you're still learning the mechanics and you're struggling to get past a lot of the DPS checks that this boss fight has, then having this extra 15% DPS increase across the board for your entire party is incredibly powerful. However, if damage is not a problem and the main issue that you guys are having is you're dying, then I would recommend changing your subclass to the Waker. Now the reason why I recommend Waker as a subclass over here is simply because of Lucky Sign. If you put 5 points over here, there is a 20% chance of not consuming a Rest Assign. The number one reason on why people keep dying in this quest is because they run out of healing potions or rest assigns. So it is incredibly beneficial when you have 5 points in Lucky Sign that there's a 20% chance that it doesn't actually consume the healing item whenever you use it. So this is incredibly helpful. However, do understand that you're sacrificing 15% total DPS when you are changing to a Waker subclass instead of a Ranger subclass. However, if you don't have a Ranger main class in your party in order to do the Blight round, the Ranger subclass is absolutely useless because you need someone to actually apply a Blight round first of all in order for everyone to benefit from the Blight round self benefit. Alright? Now with all of that out of the way, let us begin the footage. So as we can see here, we are jumping straight into Dark Falz Dalion Rank 2. So once this cutscene begins, you can immediately start running towards the left side or the right side. As you can see, the main indicator you're going to be looking at is this minimap. The moment this minimap updates and you can see there's 2 little triangles over here and it's like a square map, you can immediately start running towards the top right corner or the top left corner in order to be in position to start DPSing. The strategy we used over here is we have 1 person on the right side and 3 people on the left side. Make sure if you use the strategy that the Ranger main class is on the left side where there's a lot of people. That way they can Blight round that side and kill it incredibly quickly and then move over to the right side to help the person who is soloing. So we're going to see that happen right now. You're going to see over here that, oh look, the animation started, and look, we're already at the corner the moment the animation finished and we can immediately start DPSing. The reason why this is so important is because you are on a timer. There is a 15-minute timer. You need to kill the boss within 15 minutes, so every second matters. You want to take full advantage of being able to move around during a cutscene because you can position yourself at a much better position and save yourself a lot of hassle. That is actually a key factor about this boss fight, is positioning is key. Positioning is so important, and you're gonna see why in a second. So the beginning of this boss fight is relatively simple. Everything is almost the same, except for the fact that when he does his slam, he actually slams 5 times instead of 3 times. This took a very long time for me to figure out. As you can see, that's 2, 3, 4, 5. So you know, it takes a little bit of adjusting because you're used to 3 slams instead of 5. So it took me several runs to get used to that. But nevertheless, the rest of the rotation is relatively simple over here. You know, it's really just this 5 slam thing that is different, and you can just counter and iframe everything else. As you can see, we down the boss fairly often, and because we do have the blight round, we're able to kill the boss very quickly, or at least the left side. Then we all move over to the right side. Again, we have the blight round over here, so that everyone deals increased damage, and then we just wail on the boss, or on this phase, so that we move on to the next phase. Alright, once that is done, then it goes into this normal phase as well. This is the same as rank 1, where there's these little puddles, you just want to avoid them. However, this is where things are a little bit different. Now you can see it does like this big circle attack, and you kind of need to get out of it. You can counter and you can block this. This is not an unblockable attack, so if you want to stand in it and you want to counter, you can do so. However, something that's very important is when he's charging this 3 charge attack, he actually does this attack 3 times. What you want to do is everyone should get into position and stand at the little corners over here. Activate your Mars and start charging up your Hydra. The reason for this is because it does 200,000 damage, which you're about to see, because I'm going to go into my Hydra. As you can see, we immediately change. We start charging our big Hydra weapon action attack, and immediately everyone's going to deal a ton of damage. You can see over here, we're going to wait until it crits. Boom, 201,000 damage. So if everyone does this, if everyone goes into the Hydra and just gets off their Hydra shot, it honestly doesn't matter if you all stack up on one boss or if you all hit your own individual bosses. Personally, I think just hitting your own individual bosses is faster, because it just, you know, everyone's in position already right after you finish your shot. But as you can see over here, this is Emiko as well as Albion. They are stacking the right side, or they're shooting the fire one with a double Hydra, so that's actually dealing like 400,000 damage. But basically, everyone should use their Hydra shot over here, because 200k multiplied by 4, that's 800k worth of damage, which will help you clear this phase a lot faster and give you more time in the second phase, because the second phase is where things get tough and where you know, you really need that extra time. But nevertheless, after you finish your Hydra shot, you can immediately turn it off and you can immediately just go back to your normal attacks over here. Now during this phase, there's only 2 new moves, I believe. The first move is he's actually going to grow an extra arm, as you're going to see in a second right here. He's going to grow this extra arm, and you can see now this has 2 arms instead of just having 1 arm, and he actually throws a bunch of like spinny blades at you, which you can see right here. And then he does like a big explosion thingy, and then his arm disappears. So that's the first new attack. And then the second new attack actually happens every 45 seconds, I believe, where there's this rotating wall. So here we go. This is the rotating wall. So this wall will insta-kill you if you run into it. So basically, you just want to follow the wall and make sure that you rotate to the next boss. So this forces everyone off their element. So in this run, I started in the top left corner, or the ice element. However, once that wall happens every 45 seconds, I move clockwise. So immediately I moved over to the fire element, then I'll move to the wind element, then move to the lightning element. And usually after one rotation, the boss should be dead. If you do like a full-on rotation and you go all the way back to the ice element, you might be a little bit short on time, and you might need to look at your DPS and see if your subclasses are right, if there's other things that you can optimize to deal more damage. But essentially, you should be able to clear it by the time you get to the 4th element. Alright, so over here you can see we get transferred over to the fire element right here, and again his attacks are more or less the same, except for the 5 slam over here, when he grows the extra arm, when there's the rotating wall, and then when he does like his fire elements, they're just like bigger. A really notable one is, of course, when you go to the wind element, instead of just putting like wind landmines, he actually like does tornadoes, and it's just really annoying, and there's a lot of stuff going on. But nevertheless, this boss fight, or this phase of this boss fight, is relatively simple. It's just getting used to the attacks, knowing how to deal with it, and maintaining slightly above average DPS, and you should be fine. So as you can see here, we just killed the wind element, as well as, oh, we haven't killed the lightning element over here, so I'm coming over to help. So we are just getting rid of the lightning element over here as the last one. So there we go, it downs, and I think it should be dying relatively soon, and we'll be moving on to the next phase, which is of course the cannon phase. And there we go, now we move over to the cannon phase. So the cannon phase is similar in the sense that you're forced to use the cannon. Again, you've got your normal attack, you have the rocks that you earn whenever you kill the little spawns. However, it's very important over here that you don't use the rock itself. And then of course there is this rotating wall as well. This rotating wall can also insta-kill you, so again, it's very important that you rotate along with it. And these guys are very important to kill because they give you an extra charge of the rock. For those who are wondering what the rock is, it is the weapon action on your cannon. You can see on the bottom right corner, it does have a little 1 icon on it because we actually killed that thing. However, do understand that if you die at any point in this run, you will lose all of the rocks that you've saved up. So let's say that you have 3 rocks and then you die, you will lose all 3 charges when you respawn. So it's really important that you try to stay alive throughout the entire duration over here, because you really need those rocks in order to deal extra damage for a very specific DPS check phase later down the line. But as you can see, the boss's rotations and the attacks are more or less the same, except for this rotating wall, which really spices things up because, well, if you get hit by that wall, you insta-die. Now, once you get the break phase, it's exactly the same as rank 1. You go straight up and you start using your sword and you wail on it like crazy in order to deal tons of damage and do a lot of damage to the break bar actually, which is the main purpose, because the moment you break the boss, that is when you do your big PP damage. So now the boss is a little bit mad. So normally here, a lot of people would use the rocks in order to break these parts really quickly. Do not do that over here. You are going to need those rocks for another phase later down the line, alright? So when you kill all of these bosses over here, or those mini guys, you definitely want to save those rocks. And as you can see, the wall is now 3 charges of the wall. There's going to be a low wall and 2 high walls. Sometimes it mixes it up. It doesn't always do a low wall first. It'll sometimes be a low wall, then a high wall, or whatever. And as you can see with this attack, it does it twice now instead. And right after it does that, there's also a bunch of landmines and it dashes at you. So in the very beginning, when you first play this, you will be overwhelmed. There will be a lot of stuff and you're gonna need to process it and stay calm. But the moment you break the boss, this is where you do your big PP damage, alright? You can see we basically did like 1/4 of its HP the moment it got downed. So that's what you're aiming for, alright? So once that's done, again, it goes into the exact same phase over here. You want to kill this. There's the rotating wall. It's throwing a bunch of stuff at you. And then on top of that, it can also do all the other things like, you know, the laser and the rows, as well as, yeah, you see over here, this thing. So you just need to make sure that, hey, it's very easy to handle this. However, it's what comes after. It's like the landmines that come after, and then sometimes they do the circle attack when it does that, and then sometimes it'll charge right through you again, and then sometimes it does the wall. It's because so many things are happening at once. This is what makes this fight difficult. You get overwhelmed by all the different attacks, and it's not a set rotation every single time. You know, it does mix things up occasionally, so you just need to stay on your toes and just be vigilant and just know like, oh, okay, you know, this attack is coming, how do I deal with it, blah, blah, blah. As you can see right here, it's not difficult to deal with a singular attack. It's when there's multiple attacks happening at the same time or in rapid succession, which makes this boss fight difficult or makes it a little bit overwhelming. But other than that, it's not that bad, alright? So just practice, especially this wall part. This wall part is very, very annoying. because they don't give you a lot of time to do the double jump. So you need to really nail down that timing. Just do it fast enough basically, and you will be fine. All right, so once it goes down again, we do a ton of damage, and then we will go into the next phase. Alright, now we are moving into the next phase. So this phase is new. You're gonna see there are these yellow arrow keys or arrow things on the floor. Basically, it's directing you to shoot one of these things. You can see there's a bunch of red ones, and then there are 2 yellow ones. The first yellow one you gotta follow, and then the second yellow arrow, like this yellow arrow, you kind of see it's kind of reddish yellow. It means that that's the next one that you want to go to. So first of all, you want to go to the yellow lane immediately and see where the arrows are pointing at, because that will tell you which one to shoot at. Again, do not use your rocks over here. All right, so you can see over here that we're coming here and then we shoot this side. All right, so you can see that there's this line behind us that is going down. This yellow line is an indicator of how much time you have left to destroy the little target, and the moment you destroy the little target, you want to move on to the next row of lines, which is this one. All right, so you can see that there are these orange lines and arrows telling you, hey, you should shoot this one next. So immediately you break this one. The moment this one breaks, you move over to the next lane. So wabam, we just did it just in time. We move over, and you can see there is another lane right here. So the moment we break this, then we need to focus on this one over here. All right, so it's relatively straightforward, relatively easy over here. As long as everyone's on the same page, as long as you guys know what to do, it's not that difficult. However, it's the next phase that is going to be the main bottleneck and actually cause 2 of my failures, because we just didn't have enough damage because we didn't know what to do. Now is the DPS check. So it's gonna summon this giant purple orb, and you need to destroy it, or else it just wipes your entire party and everyone dies. All right, so if you have 0 deaths over here, it's just gonna insta kill 4 of you guys, so you know it's gonna take away 4 lives, so you can still continue. But if you have any deaths and this blows up, it's an instant fail. All right, so it's very, very important that you need to break this. This is where you use your rocks. The reason for this is because your rocks is an iframe. So the rotation that you want to do over here is use your sword, or use the right click with the cannon with the beam sword. You slash it twice, and then you use a rock in order to iframe the attack. So you're gonna see right here, you see these purple X marks on the ground. This is an attack that is gonna hit you. So as long as you use the rock before this attack hits you, or while its animation touches you, you basically iframe it. All right, so you can see over here, it pushes you back. We were able to iframe it. You know, we're continuing the sword, and then, oh, I got hit over there. So it's really important over here that you need to do a ton of damage. Everyone needs to be using their sword as well as throwing rocks in order to iframe that. As you can see, I'm a dum-dum, and I took a lot of damage over there. Now, if you don't have rocks, just keep spamming the sword, okay? It's gonna be fine. If everyone's on the same page and everyone's spamming the sword attack, you will be able to break that relatively easily. Well, not easily, but you will be able to pass that phase, okay? And then once you get to this phase, you need to use your Mars. It's very, very important that you use Mars over here. I Photon Blast in order to get the DPS increase because of my Wing Guard. Now, don't do what I'm doing here, all right? I know I just told you to go into Mars, however, do not use the Buzzsaw. Use HYDRA. It's so much safer and easier by using HYDRA. You're gonna see over here how much damage I take. You see, I lost like half my HP there. I needed to heal up. Caro, please heal up so don't die. Oh, I'm almost dead over there. You see, if I didn't heal, I would have died and would have cost another life. But this is pointless. This is very, very pointless. I should have just stayed back here. This is so much easier by just using HYDRA over here. You can just shoot from a distance. You can use your cannon from a distance. Life is so much easier, and you just shoot the boss and deal tons of damage over here. Again, I'm being silly over here. I'm literally throwing, guys. Do not do what I'm doing over here and, you know, trying to DPS it normally. Just switch to HYDRA, stand all the way back, use your normal attack. If you can, use the ion cannon or the weapon action thing and just blast the boss away. It's so much safer. Now, when you're at a distance over here, it does this like purple shockwave. As long as you are in the air, that shockwave can't hit you. So you literally just double jump and then just use Hydra and just and just keep shooting it and it will die, alright? This part is supposedly free, especially if everyone just uses their Mars and just shoots the boss, and there you go. We have killed the boss. We got 30 growth mint 2s. I believe we also get like some star gems as well from the clear. Yeah, there we go. We got 20 star gems from the weekly bonus thing or the weekly task. And then now for the moment of truth, and that is of course our rank. A lot of people are wondering. As you can see, we got an S rank. We cleared it in 14 minutes and 35 seconds. So yeah, you know, the boss fight again isn't too difficult as long as you can isolate each different boss attack, and once you know what's going on, it's relatively easy to get by. It's just when it's throwing all of these attacks in quick succession, that's when you get overwhelmed and you go into panic mode, and then that's usually when you die. As long as you can stay calm and be like, oh, I've seen this attack, I know how to deal with it, and you see all the attacks coming in order and you know how to deal with all of them, then you're gonna be fine. All right, now at the very beginning, I know it's gonna be difficult, so maybe you can use the Waker subclass as a crutch so that you can spam a bunch of rest signs to heal yourself. However, later down the line, as you get more comfortable with this boss fight, you definitely want to use the Ranger subclass. However, just understand that if you do that, you do need a Ranger main class. You need someone who's playing a Ranger main class to apply the Blight round. Okay?
Special thanks to all the members for supporting the channel. It really means a lot to me. Thank you again.
But yeah, that's all I wanted to cover in today's video. Hopefully you guys found it helpful. If you did, I would appreciate a like and a subscribe, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Bye.